I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James White, Field Yates, Mina Kimes.
All right, so first play we're going to look at 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
Am I there? How are we? What's going on, everybody? We made it. We're trying to work this out. Welcome in to another episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast, crossed over with the Patriots Beat Podcast here with Hines. No Alex Barth today. He was not down at practice. He was on the radio over at 98.5 The Sports Hub. So we're opting for a 3-man weave here. Patriots just got off the practice field a couple hours ago down in Foxboro for a Sunday session. So we're going to bring it all to you. We're going to recap the whole thing as in-depth as quickly as possible at the same time. So, like Game Time and Prize Picks here on Pat's Daily. We'll hear a little bit more from them later. But guys, I think we should start off where everybody really wants to start off. Me and Taylor do this all the time too. It's where, someone in the comments goes, "Someone buy Mike a new computer." That's eventually going to be in the cards. I'm also sick. My voice is raspy, so we're really trudging through this one on a Sunday. But let's start with the quarterbacks. I'll say it off the top. I think that Taylor's cracking up. I'm nervous now. But start with the quarterbacks. Drake Maye, I thought today, I don't want to call it his best day, but I thought that it's just the way he's strung together these, 2 practices plus the game on Thursday. It just looks like he's a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. I think the operation runs more smoothly with him under center. It's been a little choppy now with Brissett the last couple of days too. So it really looks like he's coming on strong as we head down the stretch of training camp. I'll hand it over to you guys to kind of, give your overarching what you thought of the quarterback position overall today. But it seems like Maye is really, starting to hit his stride here in his rookie season. Brian, we can start with you.
To me, it's just been more of the same, really, for the last people have been saying like the last week since like the joint practice. I feel like it's been even beyond that. Like the last 2-3 weeks here, it just feels like ever since those first 2 padded practices where like Drake Maye looked like a rookie, right? And then we were like, okay, well, hold on. And then they had a day off. And then ever since these can come back, like it's just positive days on positive days. I've been trying to think of his last, Taylor, we do like stock downs. We talk about that. Like the last time we would have had Drake Maye in stock downs, I can't remember one until those first 2 padded practices. It's just, it's decisive out there. The stuff in the red zone has been impressive the entire summer. Mike, you said like the operation as a whole just looks kind of smoother out there with Drake Maye. He can run around a little bit, make plays happen. So yeah, he's been the better quarterback, I think, out there for a couple weeks here now. And it's still not a competition because he's not getting any first team reps, right? We had the late period yesterday where it was like a jog through, but then today he didn't take any snaps with David Andrews. So it's still not a competition, which I don't agree with. I think there should be a competition because he's been the better quarterback. And then also like Jacoby's been on kind of the downward trend where you're still struggling with some accuracy issues. Just the timing doesn't always look right. So I think it's been like this for a while now. And I think, again, Mike, you kind of said like Drake Maye's been the best quarterback on the field here.
Yeah, and even today, Drake wasn't perfect. Like, he almost got intercepted on a scramble where he threw it to look like it was still Michael Petway, went right through Joe Giles Harris's hands, then went right through Michael Petway's hands. And then I think both quarterbacks suffered from some miscommunications. There were a couple like rough misses, but Drake still was clearly better. He had fewer misses. I think the plays where you saw things break down, both guys did struggle on some of the extending the plays, but really you can see there's more potential with Drake than Jacoby. Like when these guys are side by side, I think Jacoby, it's been tough because one, I think his accuracy isn't as good as I expected it to be. I feel like we're seeing more often than not that he's got misses that you're just not expecting from someone like him, where you're not Drake Maye, who can have a couple bad misses, but he's going to have so many better plays that they're pretty easy to forget. With Jacoby, it's like you need to be consistent and you need to keep the offense on schedule. And I'm not really seeing that. Now, that's not all on him, but it's glaring when you see Drake Maye and everything looks a whole lot better. He's making these like drops in the bucket to KJ Osborne on the corner. And then yesterday we had like the wheel to Kevin Harris. So it's starting to become what I think we all expected it to be, which is since that second padded practice, it's been like Drake is looking so good. Maybe Jacoby is the week one starter, but I don't know if you make it through an entire month where players are seeing how Drake Maye performs and they're like, yeah, no, I'm fine with Jacoby. We all love Jacoby. Drake has been significantly better, maybe not in terms of the operational consistency and knowing the play calls and all that. That's why I say I wouldn't mind a month off for Maye, but by October, this guy needs to be at the helm because he significantly raises, I think, the offensive ceiling and obviously the team ceiling with that.
Yeah. I mean, look, you talk about too, like the turnover worthy play today where he tries to throw across his body and it doesn't work. Like that's just what you're going to get with a guy like this, where, you know, sometimes he's going to extend the play and that's something that's just going to happen. And you have to take that with the, you know, the play that we saw on Thursday night where, you know, pressure's in his face quick and he just turns and twists and dumps one off to Mitchell Wilcox. And, you know, somehow, some way it gets there. Like, you know, that's just what you're going to get. And then today, look, you guys just mentioned it, but his comfortability in the red zone, I think is huge. And it's something, Brian, you said it, we've seen not just lately, but all camp. And now he's starting to build off that. I mean, today I counted 3 touchdowns basically in his one period. He had one to Thornton, he had one to Osborne, and I think he had one to Javon Baker on the sideline as well.
Yeah, good anticipation on that one in the back
end.
End.
Yeah, right. And so like that stuff, I don't want to say you can't teach it, but having, you know, when the field shrinks like that, it's supposed to become harder. You have 11 defenders in the box and you don't have as much room to work. And somehow he just has a knack to find the right window. So I guess I want to ask before we move on to, you know, some other things. We'll do some housekeeping stuff. We'll look at, you know, absences and what else happened down in Foxboro today. But this competition or lack thereof in the quarterback room, like, I mean, what else has to happen, right? Because I think with, you know, it's not like Jacoby Brissett came in as the savior and there's somebody else in the room and it's like, we don't really want to give that guy a chance to win the job because Jacoby's supposed to be our guy. Like Drake Maye is supposed to be your guy eventually. And it seems like those, you know, they're trying to talk about it on our stand-up earlier, Tayler, where he may get reps, you know, with the Patriots ones kind of on offense, but it's still not David Andrews under center. And it's the Patriots twos on defense. And then when they finally let him go up against the ones, the Patriots ones on defense, he's working with the twos. It's like they still don't want to just fully kind of throw him out there. So why? Like, what's your guys' answer as to, you know, why something hasn't happened just yet? And do you think we start to see it soon? Because, again, he's the number 3 pick. I think he deserves at least a crack at it.
I'll say that I think they still want Jacoby to be ready. Like, I think that within their time frame, they still think that's what's going to happen. And that's the only explanation I can think of that makes sense for why he's getting the clear-cut 1 reps and is the only one. Although I will say I'm not going to complain that he's starting to get reps with like the offensive line where you got Mike Nwenu at tackle and you got City So at guard. And then you got KJ Osborne and DeMario Douglas, guys who, if he does start, he's going to be working with that he hasn't worked with a ton. So I do like if that is part of the plan that they're starting to integrate some of the other starters with him. He also had, like you mentioned, he had the touchdown to Tyquan Thornton, another guy who's starting that he hasn't had a ton of time with. So it feels like maybe they're starting to slowly, like they said there was a plan. And that's another thing. Like Alex Van Pelt has never called plays before. He's been around a lot of football. He's been around a lot of great quarterbacks and very smart people in terms of owners and coaches and what have you. So I do want to be, you know, somewhat cautious and not just, you know, shoot him into the sun because I don't agree with what he's doing, you know, in a week. But, you know, again, I do like they're starting to integrate a little bit more of the starters. Also, there was a comment in here that I thought was another thing that we should touch on and why I do think that Drake's going to take over, because Jacoby's deep throws are either overthrows or they hang in the air. There's been like no in between. I can't remember the last time I saw him make a deep attempt. It was like, ooh, on the money. Drake does it all the time. And this is an offense that's designed around being aggressive and taking shots, specifically off play action. And with Mac last year, what did we get on him for? All these opportunities to get these chunk plays, and you're not taking advantage of them for different reasons. He wasn't even throwing them. But now you're at a point where maybe Jacoby at this point in his career just doesn't have the same arm that he used to when he was, you know, throwing these deep corners and these go balls. And then it's going to be like, well, Drake is going to give you at least 3 of those a game. So, you know, I just wanted to throw that in another reason because, you know, Jacoby Brissett downfield has been kind of rough.
Yep. I wonder if they just almost predetermined going into the summer that Jacoby Brissett was going to start week 1, right? And they're saying, okay, even though Drake's...
I hate that, though.
I agree. I think this should...
I know, but, like, situations change.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like,
go ahead.
This should really be a competition, and just the best quarterback should take it, right? But I wonder if... And again, this is just speculating because, you think based off the performances we've seen from both of these guys, it would warrant Drake Maye getting some reps with the starters, and we just haven't. So I wondered if they almost predetermined Jacoby starting week 1. We want the veteran. We don't want to rush the rookie. Like you heard Elliott Wolf say this morning, like CJ Stroud was an anomaly for a rookie quarterback having that type of success early. So I wonder if that's where they were kind of at. And now they know, like, if we put Drake Maye in with the starters in practice and it looks really good, like then we're going to have the media tweeting about it. We'll be talking about it. The players in the locker room are going to be talking about it, right? And they're almost going to have to do it earlier than they want to, which again, I don't think is the right way to do this. I think you should just let these guys battle it out and best quarterback wins. But I wonder if that's where they were kind of at entering the summer, because again, it hasn't been a true competition.
Yeah.
And I do wonder kind of if the plan is to kind of also help Drake know that there are certain steps that he's going to take. Like there's got to be some validity. We even heard that Ernie Adams on Games with Names mentioned, when is the right time to start Drake Maye? When he's ready. I think part of that is true, and I do think the Patriots are open to starting him. Like everything they've said, we know they're not going to keep him in bubble wrap. But I think Alex Van Pelt, is maybe telling him, we're going to work on your footwork a lot in the spring. And then in the summer, it's going to be more about, getting the play calls in, da-da-da-da-da. And maybe it's just a little more streamlined for Drake. So he's like, okay, these are the road steps or the road checkpoints that I've got to hit before I become a starter. Just trying to kind of explain it in my own brain, because I also agree. I would like to see him repping with the starters, but I'm sure there's some method to the madness. And again, we are starting to finally see him getting those quality opportunities with better guys. Although I want to see him against the top defense.
Yep.
Things. I think we're gonna call it on my end here right now, guys. My connection's awful. I half hear you guys. I'm breaking up. The chat's saying that I need new fiber optics and I need everything. So.
Well,
unfortunately,
Bart's ready to buy you a microphone in the chat right now.
Yeah, seriously. If Bart's there, he can even come on and just play. He can play point guard or something. But I got to do it. I can't let the people. I just see someone right now. Is it me or is Mike rambling sometimes? I'm rambling right now because everyone's talking crap about my microphone. So hand it over to Brian. We'll see you guys next time. New mic for Mike. We'll try and make it work. We'll get on one. So Brian. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is a good time to pay the bills if we want to throw it to our friends at Game Time, and you can make a little smooth exit.
That's a good idea. We'll hand it over to our friends over at Game Time, and Brian will take over from here. We tried it. Sorry, guys, but listen to our friends at Game Time. We'll be right back.
See you later, Mikey.
It's the dog days of summer here in Boston, which means it's time to get to some games over at Fenway Park. This baseball season, I'm using Game Time to land my Red Sox tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's super easy. You just open the app, click Sports, and the games will be right there for you. Right now, you can get tickets to the Rollin' Red Sox for as low as $11. You can even buy parking for the game and check out your seat view right in the app. With Game Time, you can save up to 60% by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theaters, and more. Get the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
All right. Well, Mike got us through the quarterback talk. So let's go to the offensive line, the other kind of big story from the last, I guess the whole summer, honestly. But the last few days, we've seen a lot of different kind of looks up front with the starting five, the backup five, if you even want to call it a backup five, because it's been kind of jumbled all together. So they opened still with Darian Lowe at left tackle, Chooks Okorafor at right tackle. The interior three were the same, but we saw some of that same rotation as yesterday, where Caden Wallace comes in for Chooks Okorafor, Layden Robinson comes in for City So. Eventually, Michael Jordan works in there, and then when Drake Maye's up, Michael Winu's at right tackle, Chooks Okorafor is at left tackle. So Elliott Wolf said they're still trying to find this best five, right? This best combination up front, but they're excited about the group. Taylor, are you as excited about the group and what we've seen the last 2 days, really, with all these combinations as Elliott Wolf is?
Well, I still like the interior. I think they could be a really good interior line. I think it makes sense also, like we were saying, okay, messing with the offensive line and not padded practices, sure. But now it really does feel like they want to make sure all these guys have some level of competency. I also am curious how much of it does have to do with Drake Maye and wanting to give him just some protection, because we've seen the tackle situation for him has been really rough, because you got like Kellen Deesh and Zuri Henry across from Caden Wallace, and then you had Nwenu and Chuks Okorafor. I did like, actually, at the end of practice, we saw Caden Wallace at right tackle over Chuks Okorafor. I think Chuks is a solid player, but for that right side for the Patriots, where they love their gap schemes, they like moving people off the ball, he's just such a weird pair next to Mike Nwenu, because literally he looks like half of what Nwenu is when they're next to each other, and he just doesn't move people. Now, Caden Wallace, I think they'd probably have a similar rate of, success as pass protectors, because Chuks has a physical ceiling, whereas I think Caden's is a little bit higher, but obviously he's going to struggle because he's a rookie. But in the run game, Wallace is going to get you a whole lot more push than you're going to get from Chuks. So I like the potential of that being the right side combination, but obviously we'll see. That was just a flash in this practice. And then on the left side, we heard from Elliott Wolf about Vidarian Lowe, because I was curious. We've said it. It's been 3 weeks now, I think, if Vidarian Lowe has been the starter at left tackle. Elliott Wolf actually told us that he thought, or the staff thought last season when they traded for him, that he had starting potential if he learned how to use his hands pretty much and was more consistent there. Then after practice, also did an interview with Vidarian Lowe. Make sure to check that out on Patriots Press Pass. But he also mentioned how Scott Peters and his strike system have really helped him improve. And it was obvious. Against the Eagles, you're seeing him use his hands independently. Last year, he would always shoot both hands at the same time like Cole Strange, which is just a death knell for an offensive lineman, because if you're facing a good pass rusher, they're going to knock you off balance, and there's no way for you to recover because you lost both your hands. Still a long way to go. I'm sure there's going to be growing pains with Vidarian Lowe, as we saw against the Eagles, but he had a really good game. He, I think, has some of the most dominant reps of the non-Nwenu tackle candidates. Like, when he locks you up, you don't go anywhere. And he is a strong dude. He's got good length. So I think the line has more potential than it's getting credit for. People think it's going to be a dumpster fire. City so looks really good. Vidarian Lowe mentioned how he's seen City grow a lot since being put in this tough situation last year. We know we're getting an Nwenu and David Andrews. If you can get Caden Wallace at right tackle some point when Drake Maye's, gets in the lineup, if Vidarian Lowe is your weak link at that one spot, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think he's just good enough to get by. So, right. So I think the interior has a chance to be great. I think the tackles are fine right now, could do better. But also another reason that you'd like Drake Maye in there is because he can extend plays and make something happen if pass protection off the edge isn't great, whereas Jacoby Brissett, there's really only so much he can do because of his age and his physical skill set.
What do you think about, we've seen Mike Nwenu at tackle the last 2 days? Not much, right? It's been limited, but that's the first time we've really seen him out there since mini camp, I believe, right? So I know that's something we've talked a lot about, keeping him at guard, bumping him back out to tackle, someone like Layden Robinson. You're confident enough in Layden Robinson to play guard? What do you think about maybe Big Mike moving back outside?
I really do.
I do too. I'd rather keep him at guard, but
yeah, I think we both agree he's a Pro Bowl caliber guard, and he's fine as a tackle, which, I mean, in the modern NFL, there's not a lot of fine tackles either. So, you take what you can get. But I think the long-term plan, we knew this after the draft, was for Caden Wallace to be the left tackle, City So, whoever's at center long-term, Nwenu at tackle, and then Layden Robinson probably at guard. So if it's going to happen, I don't really mind it happening sooner than later. Like, Layden Robinson has been really good this preseason. So if they decide, hey, let's give him some starting opportunities, and that leads to Mike Nwenu getting kicked out, again, I don't love it, but if you have a rookie who's so good, and I love what Robinson can do in the run game, he and Nwenu are going to put a lot of defensive linemen and a lot of linebackers' laps. So I like the combination skill set wise. I just don't like the idea at all of Mike Nwenu back at tackle when he's been phenomenal as a guard. Like, all this preseason tape, you're just like, I miss this. This looks
he looks back at home, right? And he said yesterday he was playing at 350, which you're not playing
350.
You're not playing tackle at 350 pounds. So, but he has been out there the last 2 days, which again is the first time we've seen it since the spring. So who knows? But so is your ideal starting five? Vidarian Lowe at left and Caden Wallace at right here, and Chuks Okorafor can kind of be your third swing tackle there.
Yeah, I also wonder if that did happen. Like, if we start seeing more of Caden, I wonder if Chuks gets cut. Because last year he said he re-signed with the Steelers, and he wouldn't have done it if he knew he wasn't going to be a starter. I don't think he's coming here with the same thing where he's just going to be happy sitting on the bench. I think that they would do right by him, cut him. You got Calvin Anderson. Oh, actually, no, wait.
He's been hurt.
Yeah, I keep in my head, I always think you got Lowe and Anderson as your backup. So it's like, yeah, no, he's been hurt. And then you really got Kellen Dyche. So wouldn't be a great situation. Maybe they just keep him at right tackle because it's like we can't afford to lose this guy. But I do still, I think Caden Wallace in the starting lineup is what makes the most sense.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if they'd cut him. They'd have
Just
to
like
eat.
do him a solid. I don't think they'd want to.
Yeah, maybe like work out a trade somewhere.
Yeah,
Like, that could maybe be more realistic, but yeah, it's tough for him because it's the same situation that he was in with Broderick Jones in Pittsburgh last year, and he started, who he's struggling as well. So, so yeah, we'll see what happens with Chooks there because Caden Wallace seems like he's picking up some ground there, especially if he's staying at right tackle. So, anything on the offensive line with kind of that backup unit? It was still Liam Fornadell, backup center, although we saw a little Charles Turner finally there. Still no Nick Leverett, still no Calvin Anderson. Those guys have been kind of limited the last 2 days. So anything on that backup kind of depth unit?
Antonio Mafi got reps today, didn't yesterday. So that's better for him. I still don't think he's going to make the roster, which stinks because he's in that Vidarian Lowe category where you're just like, you're such a great guy. Like, I want to see you succeed, but I just have not seen really anything from Antonio Mafi this summer that makes me think he's made the strides he needs to make this roster. Like Scott Peters, I'm thinking, oh, he's finally going to learn to use his hands. And I also just think he might just be too slow to play the offensive line. Like, that's been one of the biggest things is he doesn't recover. He doesn't move very well. Like, he looks like a nose tackle trying to play offensive line, and it hasn't been great. So that kind of stinks. But he got in today, so good for him.
Yep. All right. Another position on the roster that's kind of quickly becoming a worry is tight end because Hunter Henry hasn't been practicing. Drake Maye said it's not long term, but we haven't seen him for maybe over a week now. Austin Hooper got hurt yesterday, looked like a leg injury, limped off the field. He didn't practice today. So Mitchell Wilcox is your tight end one, and then he goes down really early in a 7-on-7 period. Looked like a leg injury as well. He limps off. So they're down their top 3 tight ends. It is LaMichael Petway, Jaheim Bell. Who else is even in that room right now?
I think you just said it. Oh,
Jacob Warren. So the tight end room is pretty barren right now, which was already a room that we were saying, after those top 2 guys, they might need to add someone. Now, credit to Jaheim Bell. He had a good day today, right? He stepped up. He caught 3 touchdowns in a low red zone 11-on-11 periods, all kind of the same in the flat. So do you think we might see a late surge from Jaheim Bell here? Or if these injuries are kind of, I don't want to say serious, but keep these guys out a while, do you think we might be looking at another external tight end addition some point here?
I think external. I think you have to because Jaheim Bell did score 3 times today. I had him stock up for taking advantage of his opportunities. But they were all in the flat. None of them were very competitive. Also, from what I've seen from Jaheim Bell in practice and in preseason, I don't think he's ready to really contribute on an active roster with any consistency. Like, his blocking has been rough. Yeah. We knew it was going to be bad, but like it was ugly. There was one rep where he got like bodied against the Eagles. So I think that's definitely going to be a spot you got to address, whether it's like Hendershot, maybe if he shakes loose from the Cowboys or what have you. Elliot Wolf mentioned today that, all the scouting department is basically just watching all the preseason games to try to find personnel, talking to teams, seeing who might shake loose. So they definitely have a better grasp on what, that could look like than we do, but it got really bad today. Like Jacob Warren being one of your top guys I was really excited about him, but he doesn't look like an NFL player, and he was seeing like significant reps today, which is not good.
Yeah, I mean, they were running some 12 personnel with the starters out there, and it was Jaheim Bell and Jacob Warren, which is a 7th-round pick and a UDFA rookie, right?
Not even a Michael Petway sometimes, which was like, whoa, that's even more concerning because he was on the team last year.
Yeah, so it's, again, hopefully none of these are overly serious. And again, like Mayo said, the Hunter Henry thing isn't long-term, but yeah, the tight end is going to be a big part of this offense, right? We saw it in Cleveland with AVP, so they need these guys out there. And yeah, if you could get an external addition, we keep bringing up a Pharaoh Brown of last year. Elliot Wolf mentioned that they will be 3rd in like the waiver wires on cut down day. So you would imagine they maybe put some claims in for a couple guys, maybe even cut the roster down to like 51, 50 instead of 53 to leave some wiggle room there. Could absolutely see that. And bringing in an external tight end there. So, pass catchers, any other receivers kind of catch your eye today? I mean, it was still just Pop Douglas getting peppered with targets. We saw we mentioned it earlier, another really good deep corner route to KJ Osborne from Drake Maye for the second straight day. But any of those wide receivers kind of stand out to you today?
Love seeing KJ Osborne do well, man. He's another one. He's just really good guy, good interview. Obviously, is like a great human being based on everything that we've known and heard. So he's doing well. Pops every day. Like, he's clearly both quarterbacks' favorite targets when he's out there. Ja'Lynn Polk briefly had the catch of the day. Jacoby Brissett tried to hit him down the sideline, was smothered in coverage by Marco Wilson, but Ja'Lynn Polk manages to high point it and comes down through contact, was super impressive. But then Kawan Baker stole the play of the day. Joe Milton gave him a deep ball, and he made a catch very similar to a Giants receiver who I will not name, but like made the catch using Marcellus Styles' helmet. It was kind of insane. So that was really cool. Javon Baker.
Inconsistent.
Really cooled down. Yeah. He had like a really hot end to the spring, start to the summer, and we're not seeing any level of consistency. He had the touchdown catch from Drake Maye. There were also times where there may have been miscommunications and balls weren't accurate. So I had him in stock down, but I didn't want to pile on the guy. But at the same time, he's way too talented. Like we were saying, he's getting more separation than anybody that's not Pop, and it's not really close. Like he's clearly the second most talented receiver on this team, but you're not seeing it translate to the field. Like on the goal line fades, for example, like he and Drake Maye cannot connect on goal line fades for one reason or another. Either he's getting smothered or he can't really make the catch. And I think the red zone opportunities really show you why he's probably best as a Z in the NFL. He's just not that big. He's 6'1", 200. Like he's not small by any means, but he's not the 6'3", 210 pounds like a Cortland Sutton or a Devontae Adams. Actually, he's not even that big. But like the way those guys win is just a little different, and I think they win with physicality more consistently. Now, maybe Javon Baker has a Devontae Adams kind of trajectory, where his first year, two is kind of rough, and then it clicks for him, and it's like, oh my God, no one can cover this guy. Because you still see the talent constantly, but the production has been almost non-existent, and relative to a guy with his skill set. So, I didn't love that, I'm not seeing as much from Javon Baker as I'd like to, but it's awesome that Ja'Lynn Polk is playing well. He got run as a Z with the top offense during 2-minute drill, kind of like what we saw with Pop last year, where he went in instead of Juju. It was Ja'Lynn Polk over KJ Osborne. So one young receiver doing really well, two, I guess, technically because of Demario Douglas. KJ Osborne looking good. I didn't notice Tyquan Thornton today. Maybe. Oh, he did have a touchdown from Drake Maye, but nothing else from there. He's participating. That's good. You love to see that. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Just like the young guys, you got two up and then one that just really needs to start stringing some good days together.
Yeah. Baker, I had 6 targets and he only had 1 catch, which was the touchdown in sevens. And yeah, it was like the fade, and then Drake hit him on a really pretty deep ball that he let Alex Austin get in to break up earlier. So it just kind of frustrating inconsistencies. I said it, I've talked to you a lot, like in person, about I thought he was going to be bigger. I thought he was like a bigger receiver. Then I think I said it to Barth after the game on Thursday. Like, I wonder if it would be a next offseason thing. Like, I wonder if they try to get him to add like 8 to 10 pounds, like try to bulk up a little bit to try to be more of that X instead of maybe having to play a Z with the size he is. But again, that would be a next offseason thing. You can't add that weight at this point in the year. So we'll see what happens with him. But and then, shout out to Quan Baker, right? Awesome catch. Got the whole sideline, pop in there. All 4 quarterbacks in the sideline ran out to congratulate him. And you figured either him or Jaquay Jackson would be a practice squad receiver. And, Jaquay unfortunately got hurt. So it looks like there could be a role for Quan Baker on the practice squad there. So credit to him for making a good play there. But any other things on the offense? Running backs, or it seems like a little bit more movement in the run game today with ads, which was nice. But just any last thoughts there on the offense?
That was pretty much it. Didn't really notice the running backs a ton. Although, again, like you said, they definitely saw more push. Like there were 2 or 3 outside zone runs. They cut back for good gains. Kevin Harris bounced. I was either pin pull or outside zone. Run game looking more impressive. And I think that's it.
That was most of it. All right. So before we wrap up with defense and our kicker update, let's hear from our friends over at Prize Picks very quickly.
You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the NBA Finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is just heating up, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You can earn up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. I've got Caitlin Clark for more than 3.5 3-points made and Breanna Stewart for more than 23 points. For baseball, I've got Kyle Schwarber for more than 9-hitter fantasy score and Bryce Miller for more than 4 pitcher strikeouts. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
All right, to the defense. Taylor, where the hell is the pass rush going to come from? Because Matthew Judon is obviously in Atlanta. Christian Barmore is obviously still out. And now we haven't seen Joshua Uche the last 2 days, which is weird. We don't know what's going on there. And O'Shane Zimenez has been out the last 2 days. Looks like he's had a sleeve on his left leg, so it looks like something happened there in that Eagles game maybe. But those have been your best 2 pass rushers, I would say, on the edge at least. So who's going to step up here and provide a pass rush?
I'd say there's been one edge guy who's been better than them, and that is Dietrich Wise.
Okay.
Guy who went on the field for literally one play against the Panthers, got a sack, had another sack against the Eagles. Although that tackle, oh my God, they had him in hell. I don't know who that was, but that left tackle for the or both those tackles are really having a hard time. But yeah, Dietrich Wise obviously is really at the top of that list. Keon White mentioned he wants to get better with his outside rush. When we spoke to him yesterday, he said that he's had a lot of success inside, wants to get better there. But that's pretty much it. Like, we saw a lot of Anthony Jennings on the outside, and we all know he's not much of a pass rusher. Also, Jennings, bro, a lot of the players have been like more open now that Bill's gone. Jennings, that Alabama media training is just so ingrained, because when we talk to him, he gives the same like trying to get better every day. You know, it's my teammates. I'm just like, oh my God, you don't have to do this anymore. Like, I promise you, no one's gonna, the sniper is not gonna do anything. Like, you can talk to us. Like, he would not give me anything when I was trying to ask him, how maybe he was trying to improve his pass rush or anything. But those are really your only options. With that, I mean, these are a lot of hits. It's not a lot of teams can go, this would be 4 and 5 deep at edge rusher. Like, that's just not a thing you're going to see in the NFL for most teams. So yeah, you're hoping that those guys get back sooner than later. And maybe the reason we're not seeing them active is because they're like, you know what, we don't have a great depth. Let's make sure that we don't get these guys hurt in practice when these things don't matter as much. So.
Yeah, at least we've seen Zimenez out there. Like, again, he's not participating, but you'd assume if he's out there, it's not as serious. We haven't seen Uche, so who knows what the hell is going on there with him. But
Uche also, like, people keep mentioning him when you talk about where the pass rush is going to come from for obvious reasons. He should be your best pass rusher. But he is so inconsistent in terms of availability, in terms of health, in terms of, production. Honestly, statistically, he's been pretty even for the most part the past couple of seasons. But when you look at it on the field, it's not the same product you got in 2022. So, I understand the thinking and I agree that you should be relying on him. But at the same time, I don't know what you can expect because he misses so much time. Like, this summer, he's been gone with no explanation multiple times. And then he's at practice and he's not going full speed. So, I just think people should kind of pump the brakes a little bit on Joshua Uche. If he has a great year, awesome. But he just isn't very reliable, or he hasn't proven that he can be reliable. So I don't know if he's someone that you can like bank on him being your pass rush Judon replacement.
Yep. Agree with you there. Someone brought up in the chat here, even Raekwon McMillan knocking heads off. He was throwing it around again today, pretty physical. He had 1 or 2 reps, I think. Even he's been down on the edge a little bit too more. Do you think that's something that we could see kind of carry into this regular season, especially if they're down some of those edge defenders?
Yeah, he played a little bit of outside linebacker back in 2022 as well, but it was really more like a Tavai type, not really as much of like you're going there to pass rush. I think they'd have to be very desperate for Raekwon. I mean, it happened with Mac Wilson, so I'm not going to say that it can't happen. But I think that is a bit unlikely because he's just not the same kind of like edge rusher, I think that Mac Wilson was. Really more of a guy you want blitzing from the interior rather than the outside.
He's more of like your old school line, like an old school Bill Belichick linebacker, than more of like one of those athletic. I mean, he has a little more athleticism,
but
but he's not like Mac Wilson juiced up kind of like that. So anything else like front seven? We mentioned Joe Giles Harris, another play in coverage.
David Andrews and Devon Godshaw almost got into a fight.
Yeah, that was Jacoby Brissett. His hand kind of came down, smacked Godshaw's in the helmet. Looked like it was bothering him a little bit, as you would imagine, but he stayed out there. Then some beef with David Andrews and Devon Godshaw.
Pushed him, and then Godshaw grabbed his face
mask, like ripped his helmet off almost. So that was kind of interesting, like two veteran leaders almost going at it like that. But
also you saw they were veterans because that got squashed like immediately.
Instantly,
got really intensely angry for like 5 seconds, and then everything died down
very quickly. Yep. So I think that's pretty much it for the front seven. Going back to the secondary. You were talking about Marco Wilson a lot down there. Is he your cornerback opposite of Christian Gonzalez, do you think?
I think so, because in most periods that we've seen recently, it's been Marco Wilson. Now, he and Alex Austin will rotate sometimes, but today it was Marco Wilson opposite Christian Gonzalez with John Jones primarily in the slot. We did see a look where Christian Gonzalez was mixing into the slot a little bit, going against Pop Douglas, and then you had Alex Austin and Marco Wilson outside, which was super interesting. We hadn't seen that before, at least not that I can remember. And you brought up the point that Mike Pellegrino has said he wants there to be different matchups. Christian Gonzalez can cover a lot of people.
Pop.
I don't know if he can cover Pop. Pop got wide open on. He didn't get targeted, but he got wide open on like a deep pattern. I'm not sure if it was because of motion. I was looking somewhere else and then noticed when I saw Gonzo in motion, like, whoa, he's like, there's a lot of space between them. And then there was another one where Pop got wide open on a slant when they were in scoring territory. Part of the reason you don't like to scout necessarily just what happens before someone's targeted is because Gonzalez still has the size and the athleticism that plays, even if he gives up separation. But that was really interesting. Pop was smoking him a couple times, and that also Gonzo was moving around, kind of like what I think they were going to do against the Dolphins a little bit with like how they use Tyreek Hill. But yeah, Marco Wilson seems like his stock is rising. Alex Austin, I think, is still going to be in the mix. I think they're still going to want him on the field probably into like the first month of the season. We'll see a lot of rotations. Like we'll see Marcus Jones, we'll see John Jones inside and outside and all that stuff. But it seems like the veteran is the one who's probably ahead in that CB3 competition.
Yep. Yeah, me and Barth have said it a lot. Marco Wilson has the most experience in that room outside of Jonathan Jones, which is wild considering he's only played, what is this, his fourth year I think he's going into. So it's
like the receiver room where KJ Osborne was like, yeah, they call me OG, and I'm like, I'm 27.
He's like, it's me and Kendrick Bourne who are 27 and like 28, and then like everyone else is a first or second year player. So it's pretty crazy there. Someone asked where the Joneses there. Would you call them full participants today? Yesterday it looked like they were like ramping back up. Today I think they were out there pretty much. I guess I would say full participants. And yeah, Jonathan Jones is kind of right back in the slot, Marcus behind him. So that's where the Boldens or the Joneses, and then the trickle down effect is a little less Isaiah Bolden today, right? I don't really remember seeing.
I don't think I saw him on defense today, at least not with the top groups. No. So
especially if they are comfortable enough with Marco Wilson or Alex Austin outside, where they can kick Jonathan Jones back inside, that you talk about the Isaiah Bolden and Sean Wade who would make this team, with a slot corner role that could impact some of those bottom of the roster moves there. So
also want to acknowledge this one from Los, Mikey Victor. I think he's going to be on the practice squad if he doesn't get anywhere else when he gets cut. He's got great length. Like I've mentioned it before, anytime Javon Baker has gotten a fade, it feels like he's the one covering him. And it's just not even a shot. Like you see the ball in the air and it's like, it doesn't matter where this goes. There's nowhere for Javon Baker to go up and try to make a catch. He's been a little, I don't even want to say up and down because I can't really think of many plays that he's given up that were really bad. But there is the level of, there's some stiffness because he is a big guy, but he's not quite as fluid. So I think he's going to be a practice squatter, probably try to develop him as an outside corner / maybe tight end eraser type. But yeah, he's looked solid, anytime he's caught my eye.
Yeah. He's 6'2", 205. That is a big corner.
Long arms too. Like that doesn't even do it justice. He's a big long guy.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it there. He makes so much sense. If you can get him to the practice squad, like just try, like get him in a room with Mike Pellegrino for a year and just see what happens. And then maybe next offseason he kind of comes back and surprises people. But yeah, he's had, seemed like there was a stretch earlier in camp where he was having like a pass breakup every day and it would always come against Javon Baker. But so yeah, he seems like a good practice squad candidate just because that room is, again, so deep and so talented and competitive. It's tough to find room for everyone there. But we can also mention, I saw some people in the chat say the Stephon Gilmore dream officially died this morning. I don't know if Barth's still listening. I'm sorry, Barth, but reunited with Flores in Minnesota. That makes a lot of sense for him, but no Stephon Gilmore back.
Did not know that.
Oh,
it makes a lot of sense. Makes a ton of sense.
Did he really?
Yeah, I guess so. I'll check PFF to see what the snaps look like real quick.
Did he even go to UNLV? I thought he went to like Alabama or something.
Let's see. Yeah, I think so too. Maybe he transferred. Mikey Victor.
Yeah, this roster has him going to Alabama State.
Yeah.
Did he transfer?
Oh yeah, no. It says he was always at Alabama State, so I'm gonna take that off just in case. Pat Stats, you screwed me. Let's see. Yeah, nah, he didn't really play. Yeah, he didn't play a whole lot of.
Didn't play safety. Wow, we're getting
Pat Stats. What?
Dead wrong info by Pat Stats. Come on now, but that's a lap.
That's why it's literally our jobs.
Yeah, lap for Pat Stats there. But anything else secondary wise? I think that was
pretty much it. Yeah,
pretty much it. All right. Any like last defensive thoughts?
Not really. No, it's the defense is the defense. Defense is good.
Defense is good.
No, low on players.
A lot of the same players, and they're good. So good to hear. Wrap it up. Special teams. Joey Sly looks like the guy right now. Just another really solid period for him today. Working from distance too. It was like 44 to 56 yards. They had the music up, and then the players were all huddled around again, throwing stuff at the kickers while they were kicking. Like towels were flying. It's fun to watch. But
Dietrich Wise is like 8-foot wingspan. He's just like doing this. The receivers were dancing to Dropkick Murphys. It's so funny.
It was crazy. Throwing the towels at them, I was like, okay, that might be a little too far. But like they were getting into it.
If you threw it and it hit the ball and everyone's just looking at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah, Joey Sly 4 for 4. Chad Ryland was 3 of 5. He got the extra kick in the 2-minute situation earlier, which he made from 43, but then he missed from 49 and 56. So I don't have the updated summer tally in front of me. I think it was Sly is like 34 of 39 and Ryland's 33 of 39.
I know he's one ahead. Yeah. So Sly's 33 of 39, Ryland 32.
32 of 39. Okay. So, but then I've said it a lot on our show. Like, if you look at their resumes, right? Like college football, you get into the playoff with a good resume. Like Sly's resume is a lot better. I think he's perfect from 50 plus yards. He's made all the kicks in games. He's made all his kicks in practice in like those hurry up situations where, it's more of the important kick. So Joey Sly is the kicker right now. And they have 4 or 5 practices left, 1 preseason game. Like, I think it would be kind of tough even for Chad Ryland to make up that ground unless like Joey Sly implodes next Sunday night in the preseason.
Yeah. Plus, Joey Sly's got some swagger to him, man. I like it. He's different. Also, like just the size and how tackling actually matters on kickoffs. That's been once Ted Nguyen mentioned it, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't get that out of my head. That makes literally he built different.
Literally built different.
Yeah, and he said he wants to be a top 5 kicker. He thinks he's got the ability. He's been in the NFL, so clearly he said that he's had times where he's shown it and then other times where he hasn't. Dude, imagine if they end up with Joey Sly and he's the guy here for the next, for the foreseeable future, and he's crushing it. Like, you hope that's what it is. And it stinks for Chad Ryland because we know he puts the work in. He's like, oh, that's cool. Good pull, Los. Joey Sly expecting his first child. We got to talk about that, Brad.
Think about how good he's going to be when he gets his dad's strength then.
Oh, hell yeah. I need to think about that. A little bit of dad strength on that leg, like he needs it. That guy is like he's made of circles.
Yeah.
Like Jackson.
I will say I didn't think he had this distance in him. Like he's hitting 57, like 56, 57 with like ease.
Yeah. So I don't, it's not even a competition really anymore, if we're being honest. Like, I think Chad Ryland probably ends up on the practice squad because he's just so young. And you spent a 4th round pick on him, and no one else is probably going to sign him. Like, even if you're desperate, Ryland was bad for a college kicker last year, and he's still inconsistent this year. That's the thing. It's like he's never shown in the NFL that he belongs there, unfortunately. So yeah, it's not really a competition. It would take a massive turnaround for Chad Ryland to make the team.
Yeah, I would say, like, I wouldn't say, someone asked here, like, is it a waste of the practice squad spot? I wouldn't call it a waste. Like,
yeah, no, they had Carlos Bateman last year.
Yeah, you still used a 4th round pick on this guy last year, like fringe top 100. Yes, but still, like, the kicker positions are so weird, especially those young guys. Like, it takes them to like almost a year or two to like get right, almost, in a way. And then I know Joey Sly is killing it right now, but he's, like, truthfully, he's just been a career kind of journeyman. So maybe he even gets in the regular season action and just kind of implodes, right? Or falls back to earth to like his 80. I don't know his exact career percentage. I know last year, like, he was 78, 79%. So like, it wasn't great in game action for him. So I don't know if any other teams would like go like what Chad Ryland's market's going to look like after the year he had last year. And then if he loses this job, but like, if he would want to come back, I think it would make sense keeping him on the practice squad. You have 12 spots. They used one on another punter last year. Corliss Waitman, they kept around for a while in the practice squad. So you have plenty of room on the practice squad. I think keeping Ryland would make some sense, again, if he wants to come back and no one else, he doesn't have a market elsewhere. But yeah, Joey Sly definitely seems like the week 1 kicker right now. So that's where that seems to be headed. But any last thoughts from you, or back tomorrow on the field? Anything you're looking forward to specifically, just to wrap this up?
More Drake Maye.
Yeah,
just like get him some, like, keep easing him in and maybe give him a little bit of run with the starters, maybe like a 2-minute at the end with David Andrews, who knows. Also, today was slip and slide day, and there were like first and second year players participated, and afterwards there was like one member of the staff who kept having to run back and forth from the building because players were drenched and their socks and feet were wet, so they had to get like new cleats, which is pretty funny.
Yep, and some of the coaches did it as well.
Yeah,
Brainer got down, Drew Wilkins. I think Scott Peters did. So someone said, I think Reese said Mayo had like his shoes off. So I don't know if he actually went for it, or I don't know. But it was cool to see some of the coaches get involved there. That's always a cool little tradition that they do. So, but we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back. Someone said when's practice tomorrow? It is 11 o'clock. Gerard Mayo speaks at 10:30, I believe, tomorrow. Right? Tomorrow's Monday. Yeah, all the days, man, they're just... KJ Osborne
acknowledged it today. He's like, I asked him a question. He's like, yesterday, all the days are blending together. I'm like, bro, preach.
Yeah. So it is closed to the public, but we will be there. We still have all of next week as well to cover. We usually get to stay throughout the whole practice until like the first game week starts. So there should even be some time after the last preseason game where we'll get like some full access practices. Can't tweet, obviously, during the live session. That's always been a rule. We fire everything off after, and then we are back here to break it all down. What are our show plans tomorrow? Do we know? It's the last block.
It's the last, it's the last.
So I'm guessing a crossover, but we can't do it live because our lovely Amit left us for vacation, and he left all the equipment.
So selfish to take his 1 week of the year off.
He was texting me at the airport wanting to jump on our show. I think he's had a few beverages, so that was.
I was gonna say he texted me being like, "Bro, the beer at LaGuardia is stupid expensive."
So, but I'm guessing crossover. Mike, if he has a laptop and a mic, Barth, I think we'll be back tomorrow. So me and Taylor will at least be here. Who knows who's going to be with us? And we'll let you know when we're going to go live. So follow Patriots CLNS on Twitter. We'll let you know there. And subscribe to Patriots Press Pass and turn on your notifications so you do know when we go live as well. Follow Taylor on Twitter at tkyles39, clns.com for his practice report today. Patriots Press Pass. He has the Vidarian Lowe interview. Make sure you check that out. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines, and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots training camp written coverage over there as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in with us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Taylor, do you want to sign us off here?
Oh, you know I do. Until we see y'all next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. Peace, y'all.